Hi, my name is John, and I'm Muggle just trying to catch up with all this Harry Potter madness by watching the third film. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. No joke, this is starting to, be a lot of work. These take hours of editing if it wasn't for the fact that I'm not at work right now. Obviously got time to do it, so with the way the world it is and everything. First film is all about trying to establish this world, getting the characters, getting the setting, and trying to just world build. The second one, more of a conducive story. Good to see all the characters kind of work together rather than just thrown in a big bubble and just start working. But the first two films seemed very light, majestic feeling, very youthful, so geared towards kids. This one gets dark, pretty Twilighty, I guess. I've never seen those films, so I don't even know myself. But I'm assuming it starts getting a darker tone. Adult language is a little more rampant. You actually get to see the kids go out into the other parts of the magical wilderness. You get to actually see the woods, the forest, the outlying countryside around the school. You're not dealing with elementary kids. You're dealing with 13-year-olds. So therefore the story has to mature as well. I'm liking this way better than the first two, actually. And the other thing, too, about these films is that there is an overall presentation of storytelling theme. There is the beginning where, unfortunately, Harry is still with the family, the cousins, the horrible cousins, Aunt and Auntie. Horrible people. You know how much I hate them. Anyway, he leaves. Harry doesn't put up with his crap. Gets the hell out after causing trouble to his aunt, which just deserved. She's pompous and full of air, and that's what happens. She floats away. Harry's magic gets to the better of him. That's absolutely fine in this because he had enough. He leaves. I will say I really enjoyed the bus ride. The 3-story tier bus ride from his house to the Minister of Magic, that whole place. And it's presented in that quick newspaper scene of the serious black fellow, good old Gary Oldman, who, for the most part, that's what you see in this film, is the B-roll of him just getting angry and someone holding him down in this prison headshot. That's the majority of what you see for Gary Oldman. That's okay. They reuse it multiple times. Gotta build up that scare factor, because he is the prisoner of Azkaban. We don't know why. Actually, we find out a little bit when Harry gets to Magic Town, USA, in that hotel that Minister of Magic meets up with him. He is aware of, and Mr. Weasley actually, who meets up with the family, they've seen a little bit, actually tells him that Harry's life is in danger, basically. So keep an eye out. So Harry gets paranoid. As if Harry Potter hasn't been a paranoid person since finding out he's a wizard. It's a continuous thing. I mean, it's Harry Potter. You get a lot of this expository lines that Mr. Weasley says to him to get that information out there. This is the majority of Harry Potter. There's always a couple dialogues of straight expository information that's just thrown out at you and you just accept it because this is how the plot moves forward. It's just the way it is. I will say, it's good to see when they get back to the school that Hagrid is officially a professor on this, which before he wasn't allowed to do magic because of his backstory that they kind of allude to in the previous film. So he deserves some good times and some good care and some good love back and all that stuff. Yay on Hagrid. I like him. You get to know that there was that train ride scene before they get to Hogwarts. HRH are on a train and ththese ghostly creatures called Dementors come and grab them because they're trying to get this prisoner of Azkaban, and for some reason they're on Harry's train and one of them decides to start sucking his soul away. That's what I'm assuming is happening. But of course you've got Demus Lupin saving the day. Good for him. He ends up being the new dark arts teacher, which is starting to become a Murphy Brown running gag. Most of you guys probably are a little bit too young to know who Murphy Brown was a very popular sitcom. Didn't really carry over. The whole point is that she kept having a new secretary every episode, basically. In Harry Potter land, it seems to be the dark arts teacher. And then you get to introduce to another professor, Trigney, Emma Thompson. Everybody loves Emma Thompson. They basically have every British actor they can get known to man that wants to be in a children's film for like a hot second, be on set for like maybe a couple days, get a paycheck and get out, so they get recognized by the parents that go watch these films. Pretty sure that's why they're all there. I'm down for it. I'm appreciative. Plus, it's Emma Thompson. And she starts showing him more omens. There's all these things that get the paranoia just keeps building up for Harry, like the Grimmin. My handwriting is atrocious. The Gremmin. A dark. It's an omen. The dog is an omen. Whatever. So far, it's been like, build up, bad guy. And then, of course, you get to the part of these films where more backstory, more cool kids in the classroom having a good time. You got to build the character development. I will say, I really like these kids have gotten. I will say I like the acting out of these kids. Last handful of films, they've just gotten better. It's starting to become a really good ensemble acting cast. Really can't wait to see how far they go in the next handful of films. Because I actually like this school, like all the supporting characters, all the baddies on the other school. Like, how many years have they done this all together? I'm assuming that it's still going to have like a cast that's going to continuously grow old together. It's really interesting to watch. Anyway, you get to the part where Hagrid teaches them about hippogriffs, griffins basically, and that's going to come in through and be important later on in the film. But just some more stuff where you could still hate the Draco Malfoy. Still a dick. Nothing's changed here, but he's a device to which he tries to ride the hippogriff, and of course the animal bites back at him. He was warned. Hagrid warned him, so therefore the little kid goes back to Lucius's dad, and they got to put down the hippogriff, even though it's the kid's fault. Anyway, they go and they try to save the hippogriff. There's a running joke too with Hermione continuously just popping up into a classroom and Ron noticing that she just pops in and always like, where'd you go? That comes back a little bit later. So really, like, most of this is just another setup of paranoia that Harry is going to go through. And the tone just gets a lot darker and cut to the point, because this is a shorter film. This is 2 hours and 20 minutes, which is even shorter than the other previous two films, shortest out of the three so far. But it gets pretty much right to the point. You get to the fact that Lupin's teaching the dark arts. More information is given about Harry's family. He becomes kind of a mentor to Harry for a little while. And then eventually you get to once in the middle of the film, you always gotta have that goddamn Quidditch match. I don't want to go over it again, but this one was obvious that the kids need more protection. Fire breaks out, lightning happens. They're playing a game of lightning. I mean, I understand you watch soccer or football matches, you're gonna have a game regardless, but there's lightning involved, kids. Kids are actually getting hurt. I think Harry fell 100 feet, one of his other classmates said. Also, right before that, they get a high alert that the Dementors will be allowed right outside like the school walls at the city grounds. So the scene before that, they're basically on lockdown and everybody's on high alert. But the next day, they have a Quidditch match? Wouldn't you, I don't know, cancel the Quidditch match because of this? Because this is the scene that proves that Harry gets out of bounds. Well, there's no inbounds, like I was saying before in the previous film, basically. But he goes outside the realm, and the Dementors almost kill the kid. So he falls 100 feet. Whatever, it's fine. No one says anything about that. Alright, so then we're given, every one of these films also has the little magical MacGuffin item. In this one, the brothers Weasley give Harry the map. The whole I know where everybody is at all times, I can see everybody's footprints, magical map, parchment map. So we're given that. Harry can't go outside the grounds of the school because he doesn't have a permission slip that was supposed to be signed by his aunt and uncle at the beginning of the film. Never happened, so he can't go out on any of the field trips. But he sneaks out on one of these field trips and he ends up finding out more information from conversation between Gallagher and the Minister of Magic. Just more information that he's getting about his parents, that Prisoner of Azkaban is loose, and yeah, also Sirius Black is on the loose. So why are the kids out on field trips? Whatever. You get the information about Peter Pettigrew. They blame him. They think that that's the reason why. Something involved with Harry's dad dying. But Sirius Black is Potter's godfather. Of course, Harry starts getting all like... He doesn't know what to believe anymore. It's a weird scenario. So yeah, so Lupin teaches them a little bit more. He talks to them about more things. Potter takes the map and tries to find this Peter guy is still out and about, even though they thought he was dead. Sees him on the map, follows him around the castle, gets to a couple dead ends with Snape, and Lupin saves his butt. So he talks to Lupin about what's the deal is, and he says, well, I got Peter on this footprints, and Lupin's like, no, he's dead. He's like, no, I think the map's wrong. Lupin's like, okay, sure, yeah, I'll take this map. So we leave it there. Hippogriff ascends to die, so the kids, HRH, go and support Hagrid during this whole thing. So Dumbledore and Mr. Magic go, and they commence the sentencing with the executioner. Some weird stuff happens where the rat that Weasley is Ron is supposed to keep close to him, the family rat, he just keeps getting lost, and Ron's not paying attention wherever he is. Bites Ron, gets the hell away from there. Someone's throwing rocks behind them to get their attention to get outside, so eventually they realize that the executioner and all adults are coming and they need to run away, so they're not being seen on the premises, so they leave. Then here comes a big snowballing thing where there's just a lot of strange confrontation that happens at once. Somehow the kids get stuck underneath the tree. I don't remember what's happening. Anyway, there's this point where Lupin, Black, Potter, and Hermione are all together in this room. We find out that it's not all that it seems, that Pettigrew, who is the rat, has been the Weasley family rat, is actually the person who betrayed Harry Potter's family, his father or whatever. We don't know, it's never explained to us, and this is where I was trying to put pieces together, and this is another probably shortfall of having a book with lots of information just cut down into a film, or maybe the delivery was off, or quite frankly, maybe I was looking at my messages during this part.
That's the incantation. Expecto Patronum.
Sirius Black is not the one who killed Harry's father or betrayed him or anything. It's actually the rat who ends up being Peter, just transformed or whatever into a rat. And Lupin ends up being friends with Sirius Black because they were friends with their father, and then he finds out that, yeah, Sirius Black did nothing, apparently, even though he's been in prison for so many years. I don't know what caused this. I guess I don't understand how that worked. And then Snape is far behind. Snape follows the kids, tries to actually be a good teacher and protects the kids from what was at that point a known killer and criminal. And Harry is like, screw you, Snape, I want to hear more of my backstory. So he actually pushes him into the bed. Stuff falls down, and it is that point where Hermione's like, oh my god, you just assaulted a teacher. Yeah, it's a real thing. It's a point. Oh, that's not good. So you don't see Snape for a little while. You go outside, there's all this we don't know what to do thing. We're trying to run after the Pettigrew who turns into a rat again or something and gets lost outside. And then before we're able to have like a good conclusion, and Harry's starting to get Sirius Black a little bit because it is his godfather, and he tells him how much he actually loves his family and he was wrongfully imprisoned and stuff. And the entire time, all I can think of is Gary Oldman as Dracula, and he looks pretty much like a gangster Dracula. That's the entire thing I can think of right now is just Dracula. A point that's brought up by Hermione I became very perplexed by. She mentions that, oh, he's a werewolf. That's why the teacher hasn't been around. And here I am. I thought Snape didn't have him in a previous class scene because I didn't put two and two together that it's because Lupin's been out at night and not doing well when he comes home and he's tired. He's sleeping during the day like a vampire or something. I don't know what the rules are with these werewolves. It's very lightly touched upon and then discarded real quick. I thought it was just talk, or it was going to come up in a more obvious manner. But anyway, Lupin becomes a werewolf in the end of the night, and somebody calls him, and he runs away. So the kids run after Black, and they're at a pond, and all the Dementors come and try to suck his soul away. And then Harry pulls off the Ghostbuster trap spell, Expecto Patronum, kind of whatever, push him away. That's what I was thinking of the entire time. Didn't work out that well. Harry thinks that he sees his dad across the pond, which is a projection of what he wants to see, obviously. Someone doing the same spell. He passes out, wakes up in the medical bay. Ron is trying to get his injury fine. Hermione and Harry are like, I don't know what to do. All the stuff's messed up. Dumbledore's like, hey, well, Hermione, you know what to do. I think if you went back this amount of time, I think you should be good. So, okay, I'm going to go now. Which seals the deal that Dumbledore is the official enabler of HRH. I mean, he can clearly see into time, and he can clearly tell what's best because he's the greatest wizard of all or whatever. So he's just enabling these kids to make sure that they make the best judgment call or to see what they're going to do, but he's clearly the enabler out of all the actual professors there. He's letting these kids do it. So I'm just going to come to realize that this is the one where it actually meant. So Hermione goes back in time with her little thing because she has that entire time in the classroom where she's been late and she just appears. It's because she has this time medallion that she's been getting to classes everywhere with. So basically she turns back the clock. Her and Harry, Ron's injured, so he's not going on this adventure. So her and Harry go back in time where they go to where the hippogriff is on the block to be executed. They go back in time. I didn't mention it before, but Hermione finally punches Draco right in the face because he deserved it. We get to see it again. It's kind of like Biff in Back to the Future 2, where George McFly punches Biff in the face, and we get to see the iconic look from where Marty sees it again going back in time, where he's behind them in Back to the Future 2. Anyway, similar shot. I mean, it's a good shot to relive. So they go back, they find the Griffin. They end up being the people that throw the stones at them through the windows when they're at Hagrid's right before the executioner and Dumbledore and the Minister of Magic are over to oversee the execution of the Gryffindor. They get them out in time, and they also hide the Hypergriffin away, so they save the life of the Griffin, basically. And they keep him in the wilderness, and then they're also the ones that sidetracked and did the howling thing so Lupin in his werewolf form wouldn't eat the kids in his werewolf form that previous, 30 minutes before in the film or whatever. And then the final trifecta of saving lives is they go to where Harry says, "Oh, I saw my dad. I saw the person that saved us." And they're at the lake, and they thought that he thought that he saw the spell, the Expecto Patronum spell being said at the lake, and Harry realizes he's the one who did it. And then it was easier for him to cast that spell because he previously did it, 30 minutes beforehand. So he had a projection that his father was coming back to save him. That's not happening. He's dead. As far as we know. As far as I know, really. You might know more than I do. I don't know. It's an interesting perspective of how these kids are growing out of being children. The theme around the entire film is dark. There's no classroom, everybody roaring at the end of the film. It ends with Harry Potter who broke his broom, his nimbus earlier, gets a new one with a feather attached. So something happened where I'm sure that the Griffin, Hypogriffin, there's something else with that story that's going to continue, I think. At least it feels like it because the feather from the Griffin is also accompanied with the broom. This is a much more succinct story. I don't know if the book is a lot shorter, but I will say that because a lot of this stuff is seemingly truncated, but I think it actually works better. It's a darker film. It's more to the cut to the chase. I actually like that now that we've hit this stride. We don't have to talk about the characters themselves. They get to actually speak for themselves. The stories are more central on the characters growing out. At least I hope so. My hope for the rest of these films is actually that Hermione's already starting to become a strong character. Ron's already becoming... He's always been like the straight shooter in this group, this gang of HRH. I like to see him gain more of a courage factor because he doesn't have that, like the head kid, the head student, head boy that he wanted to be. Hope he grows into that. Harry is gonna, fall into expectations and grow from those. I think he's gonna continuously learn because he's still trying to figure out who the hell he is, right? My hope throughout these entire films, not knowing yet, is that Draco Malfoy becomes more than what his parent and lineage dictates he is. There's lots of room for him to grow and be part of something more than just this stupid bully clique. I think there's room for him to gain friendship through the rest of the kids here. Who knows? But all I know is that they become teenagers, and I've got 5 more films to watch, and I hope something more comes out of this. But I actually enjoyed this one more than the previous 2. It's kind of messed up, but like I said, the tone is different. It's not Christopher Columbus. It's Alfonso Cuarón. I like this one a lot. There's not a whole lot of fluff here. It's just cut into it. The only thing so the pluses are that I really enjoy the acting and the characters are growing. The negatives, I would say, are that the whole Back to the Future 2 time loop thing that they go and do. I'm not sure if it was entirely necessary, but I think the reason why it'll be necessary is because the Hypogriffin will come into play again. That is my hope. Will come into play again in the rest of this series. Anyway, that's my thoughts. I hope this was shorter than previous ones. At least I hope this is easier to edit on my end. But stay tuned. Next film up will be the Goblet of Fire. Chariots of Fire. Goblets of Fire. Anyway, hey, thanks for watching, and see you next time.